What's up, guys? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing better than you were yesterday as the Miami Dolphins completely embarrassed themselves. I don't know if the coach added any more confidence to the conversation today. He was all over the place. Now I know he was set up with a weird question because he was asked by Chris Perkins. He was like, "Hey, anything positive you could take out of this?" And Mike McDaniel didn't exactly execute the play on this one too, because his first description was basically like, yeah, what positive is that it was miserable. And I think it was like he was trying to land the plane on like, hey, we all went through misery together, and that could be a growing experience, but he didn't.
It's easy for us to point out a lot of the bad things that happened. What were some of the good things that you saw happen either individually or
Say nothing.
by unit
Say
yesterday?
nothing. Say nothing.
I think to be honest, like there's I the all I think the positive is that that was a miserable experience. It was embarrassing, flat out. And in that there's nowhere to hide. It's almost, within the game, uh, you know, uh, it's almost good that that it wasn't reachable, that we were -4 because there's, as a team we have to, I was really looking forward to seeing the stuff that we've really worked on diligently, and I didn't see any of it, and that's a problem. So
Yeah, well, I would say it was a problem. That's true. I don't know if he's quite gotten there. I'm sure he is disappointed because it felt like the whole package this year and the smoke and mirrors put up by this coach were going to be tougher, going to be more physical, going to buy into the trenches. And it's not even that the Dolphins it's unfortunate because I think on the offense I felt like was more catastrophic. Okay. The defense wasn't good. The offense was catastrophic. And by the by, it appears the reports are James Daniels out 3 to 4 weeks. And then Austin Jackson has to get his toe looked at, possibly for a procedure. So we're already looking at a new right side of the line. I'd assume it's going to be Keon Smith and Kendall Lamb. I'd assume so. Maybe Larry Borum. I don't know who they're going to go. But it's already. I mean, we saw what happened to his blindside with it. Which I know wasn't completely on the line because there was Lou Anarumo was dialing it up. And we'll get to the Colts in a second because you have Xavien Howard dancing on the Dolphins' grave. But I just feel with the physicality they were saying, like I thought what we all came into this year was we were going to be excited about at least the front forces of the defensive line, and they just made zero impact. And that was depressing. And then Mike McDaniel did this weird thing where he was asked about by Perk about if it's more difficult to overcome things physically or mentally. And he talked about guys basically trying to do too much, and Zach Sealer kind of alluded to this yesterday, but I guess he was referring to himself. But Mike McDaniel felt the need to put Zach Sealer kind of on blast. Like he did it fake reluctantly because I'm sure he's like, Zach Sealer's a man's man. He could take a public call out, the public exposure. It's not, and who else is he going to do it with on that team? Like it's all a bunch of rookies and new guys. But I did see Bradley Chubb. I did see the clip of him tackling that offensive lineman, which was hilarious. Disappointing, but hilarious. But I was just like, man, all right. I feel bad that Zach Sealer's got to get the brunt of it. And then he also did this thing where somebody asked him about I think it was Dan Orlovsky said their producer on Get Up referred that Tyreek Hill has got a calendar year without a 30-yard reception, which is crazy. And Mike McDaniel basically said he basically blamed all of his teammates for it. which was interesting. He blamed all of his teammates for messing up 3 opportunities, he said, for those giant looks at Tyreek Hill. So, yeah, it was a weird press conference today, but this by far was this was the worst part of it, which was when he was going on about what are the positives, which was a 4-minute answer from him. That was a McDaniel special. He goes, "Oh, I got some good news for everybody."
I would say the good news and the positive is I don't see how it could be worse.
You got to be kidding me. That's got to be you got to be kidding me. That's crazy talk. Like that, and I'll play the rest of his answer here, but to come at this and that's the lane you're going to go is I can't get trust me, my friend, okay? Don't think we all haven't already thought about after the heroics of Josh Allen last night, what Daniel Jones did to you. What the hell is Papa Allen gonna do? Don't think we all haven't thought about that when our head hit the pillow last night. We all have.
I would say the good news and the positive is I don't see how it could be worse.
Oh my God! Oof. Let me just play the rest of it.
And I also believe in the coaches and players to get it fixed because it wasn't, it's just a shame. It's you work behind the scenes for months on end and you don't show any of it. It's frustrating, but that can be a good thing. And that's what I saw from the positive. I also you could tell, as frustrating as it was, the team didn't splinter and the effort still remained.
Okay. It didn't splinter, although we did see Tyreek Hill losing his mind on the sidelines, probably rightfully so. But they didn't splinter. So great. They are not teaching any Ninja Turtles anytime soon. But it's just weird because it's we had this great plan that none of you got to see. It's almost like it's so passive aggressively egotistical from him that oh, we were working on so much, but none of the players can be disciplined enough to execute it. And so it's just a shame. I just
There's things there, but overall, I'm not trying to, paint a glossy. I'll call it what it is. It wasn't, embarrassing. Not anything that paying fans sign up for.
You know what the thing was with Mike? If he was as and it's so much like his offense because it's if he was as efficient with his if he could be more efficient with his words, I feel like he'd be in a much better place. But it's almost like his whole thing is just inefficiency. Everything is a toss outside to get to the point. And you could have been like, no positives. Only positive. You could have said only positive. Maybe it can't get worse, but that was an embarrassment. End of answer. But no, it's always got to be this scenic route you're taking. He's an Uber driver trying to rack up his charges. I'm just yeah, I don't know. So we also have today. I mean, everybody's dancing on the good Dolphins' grave. They're big time urinating on it. I saw that. You had Rex Ryan today. He's been off Mike McDaniel for a while, but it's unfortunate. All of our old friends are poking their heads out like prairie dogs, and they're just like, whoa. You had Chris Sims today. Ugh, him and Florio peacocking on Peacock, by the way, peacocking because he said that he's gonna put a stop to bad quarterback contracts, and I'm just like, ugh, all right, dude. He's the great quarterback salary avenger, Chris Sims. What about Chris Sims is sitting here and it's I'm gonna make sure non-superstar quarterbacks only make $35 million by George. It's what a hero. Thank you, Chris Sims. What would we do without you? Rex Ryan said, McGenius, or whatever the hell he is, nerd boy. Their team has no respect for their coach. They play like that. They're soft. Every part of their football team. It's a tough day to come to anybody's defense. Is it nice to call him Nerd Boy? No, it's not. You know, I mean, listen, Mike McDaniel's a big boy. He's got plenty of material if he wants to, you know, dip his toe into the Rex Ryan war of words. Although Rex Ryan would probably like that. Can I smell him? So the other thing today that happened was Xavien Howard. This was from Stephen Holder from, was he from ESPN? ESPN Colts reporter. And I guess Xavien was speaking today, and he put Tua on big time blast, where he was basically like, here was the key to victory. He says, we know the guy. He gets the ball out pretty quick. And once we take away his first read, I feel like it's panic mode after that. And it showed yesterday. We took away his first read. He was trying to get rid of the ball quick. Latu also said, this is part of Steven Solder, he said, after the game, Latu said, you could just tell with his big eyes and him getting flustered. Xavien also put out here in the story, it said, I could barely sleep the night before the game because it was just all I was thinking about. Like, how am I going to feel playing against my former team? I went out there, I put my feelings to the side and kept it business, and we took care of business. He says, I want to put that out there, but as a team, we got to win. We definitely didn't want them to score any points, but they got 8, but we definitely wanted a shutout. Just when he was asked if he wanted to leave an impression on Miami after parting ways with them. And we know that Xavien did not leave on great terms. But yeah, man, not rave reviews of Tua. Very curious to see how Uno bounces back from this, because even I think his defenders, his believers are looking at him like, hey man, it does come to a point where you're like, you make excuses, you come up with reasons, and now you got kind of everybody on the league pissing on him a little bit. And the one thing I did say last year with the Tua contract, and I was at the press conference when he got his deal. I didn't plan on that being the day. It just happened to be that day because I don't get out to training camp as much as I used to because I'm on the air when training camp's going on. And it was a really cool day for Tua. The one thing I would say about him is, he got to this awesome destination, right, where he has a broken hip in college. He has a very bad couple of years personally with the team because they really did do wrong by him. Like Brian Flores, this is going to be a debate left and right, but whatever you want to say, Brian Flores did handle that poorly. Even if he was right to be rats off a ship on Tua, he left his quarterback out to dry, and he could have handled that a lot better as a public leader, which is a big part of the job. And we're seeing that with Mike McDaniel. But the one thing I would say is, once it was over and Tua got to his contract, this victory lap that he had to have on Brian Flores, I got it, but it almost like it lasted so long because it's all anybody talked about last year. And yeah, the show me the money thing wasn't a great look. And, going on Levitard and berating Flores and keeping that going onto the CBS broadcast and all that type of stuff. We got it. You made it. You proved Brian Flores wrong. You were able to get the organization to agree to a new contract. But you haven't proven that you're worth it yet. And that's the truth of it. The Dolphins are out here in a position right now where they got to pay tight ends out of retirement and guards off an Achilles tear because they gave you oodles of money. And even Chris Sims, the QB Avenger, the big problem when it comes to quarterbacks, and even with Daniel Jones, like Daniel Jones is going to get like the prince's welcome right now because he's making peanuts with the Colts. Everybody loves a quarterback that's on good value. Everybody loves that guy. It becomes when you want to pay that person, are they worth that money? If you want to cross over sports in town, the Heat are going to do this with Tyler Hero soon, where Tyler Hero is going to be up for this monster max extension. Everybody loves Tyler. Tyler Hero should be making the money that he's making for sure, and he's probably should even get a healthy raise. But should he make the most amount of money possible? then you got to ask how good a player he is. And so I just think with Tua right now, we're at a place where I think he was already polarizing, and there were already plenty of skeptics, even in the fan base. And I was not one of them. I was like, no, I think that this guy is good. And I am looking really bad on that right now. But to hear his former teammates say this, to hear other defenders saying we know how to make him go into panic mode, we know how to make those eyes look real big and worried. It's a tough look, man. And this guy needs a big bounce back performance like we've never seen when it comes to this New England Patriots game coming up at home. Because there is a part of me that is concerned about what that fan reaction is going to be like. Because if they throw up another stinker like this, he's always had the backing. I mean, because I think social media is not a good reflection all the time of how the hardcore fans who pay their hard-earned money every single day at that arena or at that stadium, excuse me. I don't think it's always a reflection of how they feel, because I always feel like those guys are in thick as thieves longer than anybody else. But I'm telling you right now, dude, if this quarterback and that offense and this coach put up another stinker, yeah, it could get real ugly in that place as far as the boos are concerned. And that's when you have to start wondering how the owner is going to take all that. So it's a curious thing. It's a big time week, obviously, coming up for the Dolphins, for McDaniel, for Tua, all that stuff. And it's going to be fascinating to see how they handle all of it.